I'm with it.
Okay. Welcome, ghouls and goblins, to the Devil's Work podcast. You like that?
I do.
Little
I
flavor,
do. I
little
love
sizzle. This is the podcast where we watch the most fucked up, horrific, terrifying movies that the world has to offer, so that you don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to. You could,
But you should. You
but yeah,
absolutely
you,
should.
you probably should if there's any soul inside of that frame of yours.
And today we got that dog in us, bro.
Ooh, big time, big time. This is, I was talking to my girlfriend about it. My name's Skeptik, and this is my co-host
Oh yeah.
PsydeShow.
Yo, what's up?
And I was saying, this is why when like the Wolfman came out, both when Guillermo del Toro did it and recently, I wasn't very interested because
Hmm.
like werewolf movies historically, most of them aren't very good.
You know, yes and no. I mean the original one fucking obviously like slaps. The original Wolfman is fucking fantastic. I love that movie. But you're
They're
right.
just
Iterations on them are leave a little to the imagination. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
there's
do.
just not much mystery
Hmm.
you already kind of know. Like same with just a
Hmm.
straight up vampire movie. And
Vampire, but that's
I
exactly
think
what I was thinking. Yeah.
I think that's maybe why a lot of people didn't necessarily rock with Nosferatu is that they didn't realize that it was like to me it's an exception because it's a blatant remake of one of the progenitors of the form. So it's
Hmm.
like of course it didn't scare me. The
Yeah, 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 yeah.
vampires have been around for hundreds of
In the
years.
lexicon. Yeah.
They're not scary
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same with werewolves. They're just not scary anymore. They work better as an element within a larger story. Like if
Yeah,
you
you're right. You're right.
like Underworld doing like vampires versus werewolves, like
Slapped.
that was
Slapped.
interesting.
The
That was
movie
you use
fucking slap. I love
you,
Underworld.
you use them as different elements
Hell
and
yeah.
you put them into a larger thing and you did like a fresh kind of flip on it,
Yeah.
So like that
Yeah,
was
that's what made it
interesting
so exciting when we were kids, for sure. For sure.
to me.
And
To
Kate Beckinsale, was it Kate Beckinsale in the latex
uh-huh.
suit? Oh,
That didn't hurt.
absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
That didn't pull you out of the theater for sure.
No,
That
absolutely
didn't
not.
cause any hesitation for you. It did cause you to have to do the belt loop trick. But anyway, um, the reason we're gathered here today is to talk about the 2002 British action horror film Dog Soldiers, which
Absolutely.
to me, this is the distillation of the werewolf genre.
Yeah, yeah.
If this had been the trilogy it was planned to be,
Oh, was it?
yes, and we'll get
Oh,
into it.
that's cool. I can't wait to hear about that. Hell
You
yeah.
mentioned earlier, right before we started, you were like, "What about this thing?" And I was like, "Nah, it's a sequel hook, so I'll tell you about it later."
Okay,
Uh,
fair, fair. Okay, fair, fair. That's okay, fair, fair. Okay.
but this is written, directed, and edited by Neil Marshall and his directorial debut. And you were talking about his other.
Wow, this was his first one. That's crazy. Yeah, dude, my guy just he directed The Descent. He directed Doomsday, which people fucking hated. I love Doomsday. But The Descent is one of the most fucking beloved horror films I think of all time now at this point.
I would say.
We've talked about, yeah, we've definitely talked about doing an episode on the show, and I mean, we definitely will. I'm just gonna, we're just eventually bound to get to it in our career. But the fact that he did
It's
both
a
of those movies,
landmark in alternate ending cinema. The
yeah,
Descent.
yeah, for sure. Which I'm very excited to talk about when we get to that episode. But yeah, he directed all of the. I'm like, whoa, this guy fucking made some bangers, dude. I mean, again, I mean, for me at least, Doomsday. I very much was a defender of that movie when I was a kid, and I know I was in the wrong. I knew it then. I know it now. It's totally fine. But yeah, great. I mean, solid. This Dog Soldiers is a solid fucking movie. It is such a tight film, tight scripts, tight everything. Like everything just moves along. The pacing's fucking fantastic. Everything just moves along so well. And I was like, that makes sense for like the feeling I got watching The Descent and watching Doomsday too. They're just very like solidly constructed films, you know. And you're right. It's just soldiers versus werewolves. Fucking what else do you need? Literally, what else do you need?
Yeah.
It's so
So
much fun, bro. Oh my God. So excited to
it's
talk about this.
So it seems like he's mostly done horror movies, and
Yeah,
he's done a couple of crime movies,
yeah,
and then he did a bad Hellboy movie. But that I don't think
yeah. We
that's
don't
his
talk about
fault.
that one though.
I don't think that's his fault. When you have something with the committee involved,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always talk
like
about how
that's
much
that's kind of
money
the
ruins a lot of the decisions in this film, in these films.
yeah. Speaking of money, 2.3 million budget, 5 million box office.
Yeah, dude, I was really happy. I was like, dude, good for them. And then they got like a really good like at home on the video circuit. They got a really, really good reception as
Oh
well
yeah,
too.
this used to constantly play on the Sci-Fi Channel
That's so funny because
before
I've never seen it, dude. I've never
before it
seen it.
was spelled wrong, when it was just the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
That's so
because
funny.
it used to just
Spelled
be
wrong.
spelled. Now it's
Yeah.
SYFY, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so funny.
But no, I don't remember when I first saw this, but it was definitely like sometime in high school. I don't think first saw it on TV, but I might have. But I'm like not remembering who would have maybe recommended it to me. So I'm not sure how I came across this. Maybe this was just a random grab at the video store kind of thing.
Yeah.
I meant to bring the DVD because I have it in the other room.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
Oh my
I meant to
God.
bring it in here. We'll have to post a picture of it or something
Yeah,
because the DVD
yeah.
cover is fucking horrible.
Ass, bro. I was like, what the fuck is that? If I saw that, I would skip right the fuck over this movie. If I like literally that was the most ass cover I've ever seen for a horror film. I was like, what the fuck?
It's very bad, but
That's wild, dude. For containing such a banger. Yeah, that's a way to pull the wool over their eyes, man.
I feel like it might have been that I saw it on TV a couple times, but like maybe not the whole thing, and that's why I bought it on DVD.
Mm,
I'm not sure. I just
mm,
know that I have it. When
yeah.
I mentioned doing it, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have it, and then I went to the shelf and I was like, oh yep, there it is. For some reason, this is one of the ones I kept on to.
Hell yeah, dude. It's good. It's fucking good. That's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously we're getting spoilers away for ratings and shit, but I had a great fucking time with it. I had never I so I
It
texted you when I was watching it too. I was like,
Yes.
I don't know if I had seen this before because I know I felt I was like, I know I've seen something with this concept, like soldiers versus werewolves. Also could be that I've seen another fucking soldiers versus werewolves movie. I'm sure there are others out there that we don't know about. But I was like, I'm sure I've seen something like this before. It was either that or I was really fucking stoned, but was fair as both. But
hmm
I was like, I was having such a great fucking time. I was like, I don't know if I've seen this before, but I'm not familiar with anything that's going on right now. And then like there was a couple of points in there, like right in the beginning, that like I was like more familiar with it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I think I have seen this before, but it had been too long for me to remember anything. Holy shit, man, so much fucking fun.
It's a really fun movie, especially once we come to like the climax of all the
Yes, dude. Fucking everybody is they're putting their back into that shit,
bro,
dude. It's fucking crazy.
a little sizzle for everybody. There's a
Yeah.
part where eventually we get three 1v1s versus werewolves,
Yeah, dude. One
and
of them is
that's
just throwing hands. It's fucking crazy. I was
pretty
fucking
it's pretty sick. This
yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's not high art and it's not trying to be.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely
They're
not.
just like whatever. The broad strokes sorry, I put my hand in front of my mouth there. The broad strokes synopsis of what's happening in this movie
Hmm.
is this guy Cooper tries to join a special forces group and is denied. He
Yep.
goes back to his regular army unit and they're Scottish soldiers. They go back to their regular army unit and he partakes in war games, which is just like training in the
Yeah.
forest,
Yeah.
shooting blanks at each other, learning real tactics in real-ish situations kind of thing.
Hmm.
And they get pitted against that same special forces group. But oh no, when they go to engage with them, instead of enemy combatants, they just find a whole bunch of blood and guts.
Yeah. It very much feels like the setup to Predator. Like I imagine if you're, yeah, it's
It's
very
yeah.
Predator. Like if you enjoy Predator as just a concept and like the general premise, you're gonna fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's Predator with werewolves, pretty much.
Literally, yeah, literally
That,
just Predator with werewolves.
that's pretty fair. But
Yeah,
I do it's funny because in that way it's like not that original, but just the fact that it's bringing the werewolves up to like such a modern concept.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like in one lens it is, in one lens it's not.
Yeah, and I was gonna say there. So the version I saw was on Shutter, which wow, that was it. It looked pretty crazy how dated it was. Like I could tell, I was like, this just looks like a 2000 filter over this, which is wild because I was like, I usually know them for pretty clean rips of their movies, like whatever they're, I mean, whatever they're putting, their streaming is pretty clean most of the time. But like, it was wild. But
That
I
might
will
just be
say.
what's available.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was saying. I will say though, what like when the action hits and when the shadowy bits are there and like when they're barely showing the wolves and shit, it helped a lot. It helped. It's like the VHS effect, having that like grain over it very much helped like the special
You know what
effects.
I'm just now thinking about? So I think that the wolf designs are great,
Oh yeah.
personally.
Yeah, no, no, they're
Personally,
fucking amazing.
I think even when we do get the lingering shots, they're great. But you know what makes them great?
Mm,
Shout out to our boy Jim Ojala.
yep.
They're wet.
They're wet. Yeah, dude.
They're
Yeah.
fucking
Fuck
wet.
yeah. Absolutely. I know. And it's so funny because you realize all of that shit is back in here. Like even, oh my God, the fucking teeth, the sword in the teeth. That
Yeah.
part was, yeah, it was like it's wet with blood and shit, and it just
Oh,
added so much
that
to the
part was crazy, dude.
fucking crazy,
That
bro.
made me mad
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Dude, that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, this is neat. Dude, they were adding in so much cool elements in there, but it was all things that we've talked about on the show with Jim being like, yeah,
Yeah.
make it wet if you want something to look really good and shit. And like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll have
if you
Jim on
like
again
if you
soon.
like practical effects, and this movie is all practical
Yeah,
effects,
all practical. It's
all
so
practical.
good, dude. So good.
If you're curious about any of that sort of process or
Yeah,
anything, yeah, the interview we do with Jim Ojala was really fantastic, a lot of fun, and
so much
there's
fun,
a
dude.
lot more insight than just make it wet, but that was like one of the
Yeah, it was a
funniest parts
huge,
to
yeah,
us.
yeah. It was just a
He was
huge thing that stood out to us.
he was like, if it ever looks fake, just spray some water on it. And
Hmm.
now the werewolf's not plastic; he's
Yeah,
drooling. You're
yeah,
looking at the fact that he's
exactly.
drooling. You're not looking at how plasticky it looks. You
Yeah, dude, it
know?
looks great. It's so, but every single element in this movie hits the little drama in between the like the squad going on,
The
the
camaraderie
the
between
camaraderie.
them.
Yeah, like all of it works. The elements with the wolves
I'll
and
say
shit.
this. I'll say this. Most of the time when we finish a movie for the pod, I turn to Amanda and I go, "So what'd you think?" And like 9 out of 10 times she'll go, I need to think about it. I need to, you know, I need to, I need a little time still,
That is the
you
effect
know.
we have on people. Yes.
And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, that's fine, especially
Yeah.
if it's some big winding conspiracy. 45 minutes into this movie, we're watching it, and she literally just starts doing this on the couch. She's just like, and I was like, oh, I take it you're enjoying this one. She was like, yeah, this is like, I really like
Fuck yeah,
this.
dude.
And I was like, it just is what it is. She was like, yes, yes, there's a
Yeah,
plot.
yeah,
It's easy to follow.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
right there.
And I'll say this much. Okay, so like generally when that happens, like when I talk about movies like that, those tend to be the more lackluster films for me when they're too straightforward, when they're
Hmm.
very much like too on the nose and like beat for beat, like this is what's happening. But this one just for some reason is the exception to that rule, man. And we talk about that too, though, on a lot of like I think this is likened to a little bit of I will say there are comedic bits that had me fucking bursting out laughing towards the end, like, especially one of the ones towards the end. The one-liners are fucking amazing. It's just Predator with
I wrote a
werewolves.
few of them down.
It's just
I
Predator with werewolves.
I wrote a
It's
few of the
great.
stupid things that
It's
they say to each
so
other
fun.
down.
But yeah, like in that vein, like it is almost a horror comedy as well. And like those ones aren't ever trying to achieve high art, but they're doing something interesting within the genre because they're things that you probably aren't used to seeing. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of horror comedies that they're so absurd or so abstract that it's just like that's where the comedy lies, you know? So
Yeah,
yeah, I really yeah.
absolutely.
Oh man.
It's
Well,
funny
this is
to
gonna
look
be a
at
fun one.
too. All these guys had pretty solid um, careers afterwards. Sean
They're all
Pertwee,
solid actors.
who is the sergeant,
Yep.
he goes on to be in in Event Horizon
Yup.
and many
Yup.
many other movies. Like he's
Now
constantly getting work.
he's Alfred in Gotham, I want to say.
Oh, interesting.
Or he's like Alfred's friend or something. I forgot, but he's in Gotham now. Like that's like where he's that's a huge one for him.
Kevin McKidd plays the main character, Private Cooper, and it says he's best known for a role on Grey's Anatomy. So that
Yeah,
dude's paid for
yeah.
the rest of his
Oh
life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That check is very secure.
Liam Cunningham, who plays Captain Richard Ryan, I didn't even like recognize because he's clean shaven,
Mm.
And so in Game
Where's
of
he from?
Thrones, he has a beard.
That's where he's
He's
from.
he's
Okay.
Davos. He's
Oh wow,
Davos Seaworth. That
really?
one of my favorite characters
No
in
shit.
Game of
Yeah, no, he's
Thrones.
a great character. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and some of these
Dude,
other names aren't lighting up
Spoon.
blue.
Dude, Spoon is my favorite fucking character, man. Like easily my favorite character. And I think he didn't really do a whole lot of note. He's very busy though. He was in
Yeah.
Doomsday. He was in Doomsday as well. Oh man, I can't wait
Yeah.
to rewatch that. Like, I can't wait to rewatch that movie.
And he got a role on Doctor Who, so again, paid for the rest
Oh
of his
wow,
life.
I'm eating my words immediately. I opened up more of it. Apparently he was in Star Wars The Last Jedi. We talk about the only
Hmm.
good one.
Who did he play in it?
I don't know. I just see he's credited in here.
I hope he was the alien whose tit Luke sucks on.
Oh,
And
it's no one huge. You transport something or other.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I love that most of the people listening are going to be like, "That was a weird joke," and then the people who saw The Last Jedi are like, "What the fuck, man?"
yeah. It's
That
amazing.
that part was weird, but it's far and away the best Star Wars. I'm
It
sorry.
is. It is. It is. You're right. We've talked about it. I don't know why we've talked about it. We absolutely have talked about it. Oh, and keeping on brand with that, they're in the forest again this time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
Oh man.
trigger warnings: whole lot of blood
Um.
sausages.
Yeah, but the dog doesn't make it, man. Right off the bat, like
Does the dog die?
no, the dog right up top. That's why he doesn't get. Remember, that's why he doesn't get fucking. He
No,
doesn't
he
get picked for the
no
team.
you're
The
right. There
dog doesn't make it. No, I was just
one
very much off the bat. Yeah,
one dog
one
doesn't
dog
make
doesn't
it.
make it. Yes, we should be. Yeah, make that very clear. But
That's why I'm confused. There's two dogs.
there's two dogs. Yeah, there are two good boys. Yes, you're right.
But yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot of sausages presented as
Yeah,
intestines.
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
There's a
That part is
decent.
fucking wild.
It's not like it's not super gory, but we see a couple limbs come off. We see a couple
It does get gory
disembowelments.
more towards the end, but it's yeah, you're right. It's not like anything that's like huge. Like
I'm kind of realizing as I talk, we're just desensitized. We're like, yeah,
we
four
are.
people get disemboweled, but like, it's not that bad.
Exactly.
Uh,
Well, comparatively to what the fuck we cover on this show, what the fuck we're about to cover on this show, it's pretty goddamn tame.
yeah, but if you think of the average human being, then
That's
it
fair.
becomes
We
a
are
little
not
different.
them. We built different
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
house.
Um, I mean, military patriarchal bullshit. It's just kind of
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
those
yeah.
movies that's part of it. But I will say, I don't know. They're as far as soldiers go, these guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, for
you
sure, for sure. The
you start
fact
to
that he,
you
yeah,
start to like them.
the fact that he doesn't do what he's ordered to do in the beginning is like endears you to him right away, the
Hmm.
main guy. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
I'm trying to
man,
keep it vague.
watching it on DVD, no English subtitles, only Spanish
That's
subtitles.
crazy, bro.
I was like,
That's so funny.
fucking yeah. So there were a few times we had to run it back because they're just like, we're just like, what? Run it back.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Scottish
oh,
to do
oh.
Spanish subtitles to is fucking crazy.
That is
That's
pretty funny now that I
that's
think about
wild, dog.
it.
It's fucking wild. Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
but
Yeah, patriarchy, yeah, that's a big trigger warning for sure.
I think that and there's like I don't remember if you mentioned this before or after we started recording, but in the near the end, there's like a lot of really weird misogynistic
Oh yeah,
shit
yeah, yeah,
going
yeah,
on, just
yeah.
kind of out of nowhere. There's like a whole scene where a
Weird
woman's
sexism shit. Yeah.
just like, well, I'm a bitch then, and it's just like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what?
It's
Like,
yeah, it hit us in left field. I was like, wait, what the fuck? What movie is this now?
yeah, I was like,
So
what the
weird.
fuck? At the beginning, when they go around like naming their fears, the main character
Oh
goes,
yeah, as
"I'm afraid of
women.
spiders and the women, and it's and spider women."
So stupid. Yeah.
Actual line of dialogue.
Yeah, it is literally that's what I'm saying. So the patriarchy again, we can throw a blanket over that one.
Yeah, exactly. A wet blanket. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a wet blanket.
I think that's basically it. There's wolvies,
Hmm.
and they're out
They're
to get
scary.
you.
They're terrifying as fuck. Too. I'll say they're really well made, but they're scary as shit. It's one of those things where like when they do a great job in this movie of like not showing them all right away. But then there's like when they still show them like the full body thing, you're like, that's fucking terrifying. It doesn't get less scary with exposure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of funny too because it's like they must have seen them bodily before we do, just from like some of the encounters they have.
Hmm.
So it's like by the time they're like, "What are those things? Ah, fuck!" It's like I feel like you should have a pretty good handle on what's happening by now, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that is not
exactly.
a naturally occurring animal,
That's
you know?
so funny. Yeah, 100%.
Like it
Yeah, and
sure ain't a fucking bear.
I guess like another trigger warning, fucking you might get nauseous from the editing. The editing in the beginning is fucking breakneck, dude. I was getting whiplash at that motherfucker. When they first get dropped off in the helicopter, I was like, good lord, keep one frame steady for a second, please. It was wild. Yeah, that was wild. I was like, because I know my mom complains about like she can't watch like me play. You know when she's watching, she's like, I don't know how you'd play the video game. She's like, I get dizzy with the first person stuff, and so I was like, I kind of understand what you mean now with that fucking editing. That shit is
Yeah.
wild up top, man.
Yeah, I think I didn't even realize because I was trying to get the settings right. At first the sound wasn't playing and I was like, is it really this old of a DVD? But it's because the PlayStation puts sound on your headphones first and you have to
Oh
like
yeah,
change it to the
yeah.
TV.
Hmm.
So it was a whole thing. And then
But yeah,
Amanda was like, "So what's happening? Should we rewind?" I was like, "They're a couple. They're camping. Don't worry about it." And then
exactly. Yeah,
two
literally.
seconds,
Yeah, it's
two
literally.
seconds later, I was like, "Do you see why? Okay, let's keep
Exactly.
moving."
That's what I mean. It's just everything just fucking and you're just like, and we're here. I was just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So yeah, very but beyond that, pretty good pacing, and we'll get to it. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So if that all sounds good to you, I found this on Shutter as of this recording. But if not, you can find it on Skeptik's shelf.
Exactly. I'll let you borrow it for a nickel. Right before we get into it, like the free libraries for books, one day we'll have those for DVDs.
They do have, so I know Canopy is one of the streaming services that if you have a library card, you
That's
have a whole
right.
access to a DVD like or like a whole movie streaming service. It's pretty
I
cool.
do I do
That's
want
pretty
to try
cool.
that. I do
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
try
yeah.
that. Thank you for the
They have a
reminder.
lot of shit on there that we cover that you cannot find anywhere, bro. It's crazy.
Canopy and Arrow.
Yeah, Canopy and Arrow. Yeah, shout the fuck out, dude. How yeah. All right, let's get into this. We made them wait long enough.
We are the official horror podcast of Canopy and
Yeah,
Arrow.
and Arrow. We claim that hood.
So the movie starts with a couple camping in the Scottish Highlands, and the man and the woman are like fishing. They go to their tent very quickly, as Sideshow mentioned.
Yeah.
They get in their tent. They're
It's just
doing all
like
this
man, woman, they
romantic
fuck.
smooching and booching,
Yep.
and then I believe they're talking about like his career or something. Like it seems like it's some sort of like celebratory
Couldn't tell you.
camping trip.
Couldn't
And
tell you.
then she gives him a silver letter opener shaped like a sword as a
Yeah.
present and tells
Because a
him
knight can't. Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's like every knight needs his sword or something like
Hmm.
that. And then yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's the one thing we're supposed to take away from this. Because yeah,
Exactly.
nothing, everything else is just moot at this point.
And then they're like, oh wow, how great, we're so in love. All of a sudden, their fucking tent flap gets ripped open, and there's horrifying bestial noises,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
will
that's that
say,
for them.
not ripped open though, which is interesting. I was looking at a video, and this was it's slowly zipped open. You remember there's like the zipper
Mm,
kind of working open. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. There's
yeah,
a couple of things I'll point out along the way that they were like they're more. It's an interesting thing that the werewolves retained their humanism in certain forms. Like
yeah,
the yeah, like
yeah, and I do have something to say about that, but I'll wait a little bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But
I just thought it was
no,
interesting.
you're right.
Yeah,
You're right. That is a good catch.
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Hmm.
And then we get text on the screen 2 hours earlier, and we see a soldier named Cooper running through a forest in North Wales. He's pursued by several men with guns. He attacks a few of them. He like disarms them and knocks them out. Throws his like mag light and hits another dude in the head and knocks him
Yeah.
out. Keeps running and then eventually gets overwhelmed. And it's revealed when Captain Ryan shows up, Davos shows
Hmm.
up and tells him like, "Oh, you're the head of the class. You've ran out here for almost 23 hours with no equipment or anything. You know, the only thing that could have made you more effective is if instead of just running, you had taken out the enemy's capability to chase you."
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
he gestures towards this dog that they have on a leash.
Yeah.
And the dog now, they're all chill. So the dog's just like, oh, good boy mode, having fun. Like just
No.
clearly,
God damn it, man. This
clearly,
shit.
you know,
I hated it immediately. I was like, don't do it, man. Don't open this
yeah.
movie like that.
So Cooper cocks his gun and tries to hand it to Coop. Excuse me, Ryan cocks his gun and tries
Yeah.
to hand it to Cooper and tells him, if you want to join my unit, you got to be, bloodthirsty. You got to have no morals. You got to do what I
Hmm.
tell you. Kill this dog. And he tells him no. And he says, what, you can't kill a dog? He said, oh, I can kill a dog. I'm just
Hmm.
not going to kill a dog for no
For no
reason.
reason. Yeah.
That that dog hasn't done anything. And honestly, my thoughts as a viewer is, haven't you spent like thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours training this dog?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
You,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I guess that
like,
kind of speaks to him seeing everybody as disposable, though. That kind of, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, totally,
but
totally.
yeah. But I understand. Yeah, absolutely. You're like, what the fuck,
Just
bro?
like
That's
waste of a good
expensive,
dog.
bro. Like, yeah.
You just said how good this guy is at running away. This dog helped you find him. It sounds like a good
Exactly.
dog. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, you gonna finish that dog?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
fuck,
good.
dude.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I was just like, yeah, immediately I was like, I know where this is going. I don't like it, man. I don't like this one.
Yeah, and so of course he does the whole, well, if you won't do it, you're a loser and
Yeah.
you can't join me, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And he kills the dog in front of him, and thankfully they don't show it.
Hmm.
A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff in this movie, and especially how they do the transformations
Oh
later,
yeah, yeah.
is
It's all
just
implied or shadowed, like shadows or like
yeah.
quick cuts to something else. Yeah.
Yeah, like stages of practical effects. Like they'll start to
Hmm.
change and then drop under the table, and then they'll do a cowboy switch to someone who's a full wolf,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah, I was thinking
that's
about it too. I was like, oh man, that's smart, man. They saved their money too. They
mhm.
definitely saved it because they used the shit out of that budget on these effects and the sets.
I thought the same thing watching The Wire, because I'm rewatching it right now, and there's a dog fight in like the third season, I think,
Mm,
and it's Method Man who has his dog
that's
go get in
wild.
this fight, and I was like, oh man, I'm really worried about how they're gonna like shoot this dog fight in the early 2000s. Like, I hope it's done ethically, and it's clearly like if you're paying attention and looking for that kind of stuff,
Uh,
like it's a lot of close, quick
yeah,
moving
yeah,
shots,
yeah.
but it's totally just these two dogs like just running around having a good
Having a good
time,
time.
and then like two shots of them playing tug of war, but just like the hind quarter like
Yeah,
legs
yeah.
like bracing and pulling, so it
Hmm.
looks like they're like
It's aggressive. Yeah.
yeah,
And then
and
you
then
just add in some growls and post and you're good.
yeah, then the dog who's supposed to die is just like laying there with a little ketchup on its neck. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cute.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, I was like, oh, thank God. I was kind
Yeah.
of, whew, I was a little worried about how this was going to be shot and
Yeah, for
everything, but
sure.
kind
That's
kind of
so
this
funny.
kind of the same thing where it's all just implied and quick, and
Yeah,
if
it
you're
is.
really looking for it, if you're
Yeah,
not,
very much. Yeah, very much. Hiding the budget was what I could tell. I was like, oh, how are they gonna shoot the transformations? That's gonna be an interesting one. And then yeah, it's
yeah,
just like tuck behind a table and
because
you're
there's
up.
no CGI in this movie.
No, not at all. Which is
There's
so good,
not
dude.
one frame of
Mm-mm,
any CGI in this
mm-mm.
movie.
It fucking slaps, bro. I love it. I love it.
So Ryan calls him a loser, executes the dog. Cooper lashes out at him, gets a gun to his head, and gets told that he's going back to his old unit.
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks later, we see a squad of 6 British soldiers that are dropped into the woods near the Scottish Highlands. So going back to where the couple was.
Mm-hmm.
And they're here to do a training exercise, war games, against an SAS unit. SAS is British Special Forces.
Mm-hmm.
So they strike out. They get dropped off in a helicopter. They strike out. They're all carrying these guns with these weird like yellow tips on them that just fire blanks. So there's no need for a projectile to go forward. It just has like vents for the muzzle flash.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so these guys get out of the helicopter. We're introduced to all of them. So we have Cooper, who is the main character.
A lot of names being thrown out, so I don't blame anybody for getting, confused because it's a lot. Like I didn't even catch the names until like towards the end.
Hmm.
Like when they're all kind of like talking with each other, and then I found my favorite characters. But yeah, for sure, it's a lot of names. So, name salad for right now, but they'll
Yeah,
become
Cooper, the
people
main
soon.
character. Wells is the sergeant, their leader.
Oh,
Spoon
so
or
good.
Spoony is kind of this
Love
like
him.
the comic relief.
Yes, Spoonie is so good, dude.
And then Joe, Terry, and Bruce are kind of just there.
Yeah, the cannon fodder. Yeah,
They have personality and stuff, but they're not as notable as the other three.
very much not. Yeah.
So the six of them are here. They strike out. They have this whole scene where they talk about, we're all going to synchronize our watches. We all got to be on the same page here. And
Hmm.
Spoon didn't bring his watch. So Wells, the sergeant, gives him his watch and tells him, "I want that back.
Yeah.
It's a good watch."
He
And
says, "What are you gonna do?" He's like, "I'll count then."
yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, so
They,
dude, Sarge has so many good lines in this movie.
he does.
I
He's
love
he,
him.
he's right sassy.
Yeah, dude, he's really
He's
good.
kind of a Jason Statham type.
Yeah, that's probably why I loved him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oi, I'm the beekeeper. I don't know if you see that guy on TikTok. He just like, oi, I'm a mechanic, bruv.
It's fucking hilarious,
Am
man.
I? I'm just a salaryman. You know?
Yeah, that's so true. You're totally right. He just is Jason Statham. Yeah, yeah. We have Jason Statham at home.
Basically. Basically. But it's like your partner's actually really good at cooking, so it's better. You know? It's like one of those.
That's so that fucking took me. That's so funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. And
Sometimes
I
it is
will
better
say,
at home.
I will. So funny. I will say, yeah, him and in Event Horizon, I remember fucking loving him in that as well. So, yeah, yeah, the dude is fucking amazing in this. I really think his character in this, you get to like him a lot more, and then you get to love him towards the end.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I would agree. There's some really great scenes with him, but we
Oh, I
gotta we got a
can't
mountain to
wait.
climb to get
I
there.
can't wait, dude. That scene is so fun. I know exactly which one you're thinking of. Oh
I
man.
guaranteed we're on the same page.
I guarantee
So
it.
so we have this whole moment, and Spoon says that, and this ties in way later, but Spoon says that like he doesn't care because this is all just a training exercise, so like it's
Yeah.
not real combat. Their lives aren't really in danger. He would rather be at home watching the England Germany football match.
Yeah, it's a very big point of this movie. Yeah, is the
Yeah.
match.
Yeah, he would much rather be doing that than doing this,
It's England
bullshit
versus
mock combat.
yeah, it's England versus Germany, and it's like he's like it's. I love the line. He's like, it's a proper war. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, nothing like what's going on here, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're all just like fed up with him, but in like the most loving way.
Yeah, yeah, he's immediately endearing. Like he's so fucking cool. I love his character immediately. It's so fun.
So they head out and they're all like whistling, which I think they just think they're far enough away from the SAS guys that they're
I
not
was
like
like,
that
why are
worried.
you? Yeah, I was like, why are you pronouncing where the fuck you are?
Yeah, yeah. And then right as you have that thought, it shows them through binoculars and we see Ryan watching them.
Yeah,
And he
exactly. Like, yeah, duh.
and he gives such a like he gets on the radio and it's funny because it's like ostensibly the reason it's in fiction is because you have to code your messages so if people hear it like they don't know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
But in movies it's all the code is always like something that's so fucking obvious that like
Yeah,
if they overheard you
it's
they'd
so
be like
stupid.
so he literally goes the flock is heading for the fold and I'm just like anybody who heard that would be like, "Oh, we should stop going in this direction because they're going to ambush
Yeah,
us."
yeah, exactly.
You know, like there's no. The eagle is
So,
heading toward the nest. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So the VIP is heading to where they want it to be. Like,
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. It's
I
not.
will say he was fucking fantastic as a villain. He's fucking amazing. He really he played the shit out of this part, dude. Like that was some
He did.
Shakespearean shit.
Yes, that's how I would classify it. And
Yeah,
without knowing, without looking into his background, just from Game of Thrones of this,
yeah.
100%
I
classically
would.
trained
Yeah, I'd
actor.
imagine he would play like a Bond villain at one time and be fucking amazing at it. You know.
I could see that.
Hmm.
Fucking Alec Trevelyan type beat.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's one of the all-time great names of fiction. Alec Trevelyan from
Trevelyan.
GoldenEye, and then there's a guy from Gundam Wing named Trey's Kushranada.
That's a
Those
is this Elden Ring? What the fuck is this?
those those are like the two best fictional names of all
That's
fucking
that's
time.
so funny.
Like, come on, Trey's Kushranada. That's fucking incredible.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking more into Liam Cunningham and yeah, for sure. He's definitely been in a lot of he's very busy and I'm imagining he's the heavy in all of these
How
movies.
many productions of Macbeth has he been in?
I imagine quite a few because yeah, he's in Harry Brown, he's in fucking what was that movie Safe House with Denzel Washington.
Mm,
Yeah, he's in all kinds of yeah, like he's in one called The First Night.
of course.
1995. Yep. It totally makes sense. Yeah,
With a
he's
K.
very but yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, Blood the Last Vampire. Oh, wow, I haven't heard about that movie in a minute. Wow, sorry. I'm just getting into it. We have to like we have to keep moving. But
No,
yeah,
it's okay.
he's definitely been busy and he very much feels like the star villain in this film, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. He chooses the scenery, but in a very good way.
Hmm.
The
Very
code thing
much.
is just very silly.
So funny. So funny. Yeah, but I just had to bring it up because I loved his character in this. Super fun.
Yeah. So then the guys, our group that we're following, they all hunker down for the night and they have this big, bonding exchange
Mhm.
where they're like, what scares you? And everyone goes around saying it. And as we mentioned earlier, Cooper says spiders and the women
And women.
and spider women. And then they ask the sergeant what scares him, and someone's like, nothing scares the Sarge. And then he tells a story of, I believe he says being in Iraq. So it sounds like it's like Desert Storm.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
and one of his buddies steps on an anti-tank mine, which is a
Yeah.
big boom boom.
Fucking
And
crazy. Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
that shit got dark.
and he says it obliterated him, but this guy had gotten a tattoo of the devil on his
Oh
ass.
yeah, that was
and and
great.
and he told him that he still believes he can go to heaven because he's tried to be a good person, but he's
Mhm.
committed so many sins that his skin is for the devil. His
Yeah,
soul is,
only the devil can save his skin is how they put it.
yeah, he believes God will save his soul, but only the
Hmm.
devil will save his skin.
Yeah,
And so when he blew up, all they could find of him that was like truly recognizable was the
literally
part of
just
his
a tattoo.
ass. Yeah.
It was just the skin of the tattoo.
Which can be explained as like if it blew up in front of you, you know what I mean? Like that would
Hmm.
kind of be the part of you that's like the farthest away, but
Yeah. But
it
I
makes
like
it
how
good.
he put I like how he put it though, was just like from then on it just kind of made me understand that like this shit can all go at any moment. You know what I mean? Like I like how he worded it because I was like, oh, is he gonna get like preachy with it or what? Where are we going with this? Because he starts it off saying that the worst fear he has is never seeing his wife again, and
Yeah.
then that's where he goes into that story. So I was like, it's solid performance, but it was a really good way of like setting up that character's backstory and like just making you love him even more right off the bat. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but
And
it was a dark one, man. Yeah, it was a dark one to go down. I was like, damn, that's crazy.
you know, I feel like this is kind of worth telling. I had a teacher in high school who was a vet of both Vietnam and Korea,
Oh
and
shit.
as a result, he was like very surprisingly anti-government, and he would tell us a lot of like, this is the dirt that happened and this is the
That's
stuff they don't
crazy.
want you to know about and
Just
all
fucking
this
chain
stuff.
smoking.
He was a G, Mr. McCombs. I hope he is still with us, but
No,
he was
no.
pretty, he was like
Yeah.
almost 70 when I was in high school,
Damn.
so
Yeah.
you know. But he told us a story of when he was in Vietnam, I believe. He stepped on a bouncing Betty,
Fuck.
and
That's
he
fucking wild, dude.
and he heard it click, and he told everyone, he was like, "Guys, I'm standing on a mine. You all need to get away from me."
Oh,
And
fuck. That gave me
and
a
they
chill up my spine, dude. That's
and they
fucking
all because for
crazy.
those that don't know, these mines are like spring loaded.
Spring loaded, yeah.
So when you step on them, as you step off and continue walking, it bounces like 2, 3 feet in the air and
Mhm.
explodes. So it either cuts you in half or blows your legs off.
Yeah.
And that's, pretty much the worst situation to be in the middle of a jungle,
Yeah.
like far from medics and stuff. Like you're probably not making it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they call them bouncing betties. So, and that's also why in this story, it didn't blow up right away when he steps on it.
That
So
okay, that makes sense too. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's standing on this thing and he tells everyone to get away, and they all get away because he has to walk off at some point,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And the officer that was with him told him, what you're going to do is immediately dive down to the ground as fast as you can. And so that's what he did. He let go and dove down, and it blew up over his head.
That's
And he
fucking
ended up being fine.
crazy. God damn, dude, that's terrifying though. Just that
Yeah.
moment, like, what the fuck is that moment like? Was stepping on the shit, hearing the click, like, I'd be like, all right, deuces, y'all, it's been real.
Yeah, yeah. You're just all you like
Yep.
he that's what he said. He said all I could do was tell them like just go away.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here because
Mm-hmm.
this thing's about to blow.
God
Because that's kind of the
damn.
point of it too, is like not just to get one guy, but to get like a whole group of like five or
Multiple.
six of them
Yep.
walking through the muck,
Yep.
not realizing this thing's about to bounce up and do that.
Yeah. That's fucking, oh, Jesus Christ. Very, it's appropriate that you share that story in this episode, though. I mean, yeah, genuinely, that
Yeah.
is very much in line with this conversation.
Mr. fucking McCombs, what a badass dude!
That's
Like
fucking wild,
truly,
dude.
the
Yeah.
one person I have ever actually said thank you for your service to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah,
and meant
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And meant for sure. Yeah.
So
100%.
as he tells this story, it gets really dark,
Mm-hmm.
like the mood. And then I forget who, but one of
It
them,
might have
probably
been
Spoon.
Spoon. Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably
Exactly.
Spoon. Yeah.
He starts telling like a fucking rabbi in a Polak
Yeah.
walked into a bar
It's such a
type
fucking
type.
stupid.
I
Yeah.
don't even remember what he's saying. And everyone starts like giggling a little, and even the sergeant, you see him make a face of like, "Yeah, you're right. I brought the mood down. We need to bring it
Yeah,
back
yeah,
up."
yeah. Yeah, he's like, my
And
bad.
and then all of a sudden, a wild, like wildebeest ass cow
Dude,
just
fucking
lands on the fire,
that
and
shit was fucking crazy. I was like, yo, what the fuck?
just fucking guts and blood
Such
just
uh
all over them suddenly.
it's such a well-timed fucking jump scare. There's nothing to prepare you for that motherfucker. Like, I
Hmm.
love how they executed that. I was like, that's how you pull off a jump scare. Truly, like that is truly a well executed jump scare. I think that and maybe like The Exorcist 3 probably have my favorite jump
Hmm.
scares, probably of all time now. Of all time. That shit was very highly effective. I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Super crazy.
it's really well done and like in a way that feels earned and appropriate.
Yeah,
They're next to like a rock wall, so it's either like a hill or
like
like
a
a
cliff or
little
something above
cliff. It's like
them.
a
Yeah.
very hilly area, these
Mhm.
like woods that they're in.
Yeah. That shit is
So
like it's like Carrie, but they threw the whole pig at her.
pretty much. But so they basically rationalize to themselves. They're all like, "What the fuck?" And one of them
Mhm.
jumps up and starts unloading his gun
Yeah.
that doesn't shoot bullets.
That shit was funny. They're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, they're all just like embarrassed for him.
So
And,
funny.
and basically they just rationalize they're like, "No, these aren't, bullet wounds. This thing was like bit and torn open by something."
Yeah.
And they're all like, "Okay, well, we're in the wild and animals have predators, so okay, this thing got hurt and it wandered and it fell off this hill and holy
Hmm.
shit, we're all just lucky it didn't land on one of us."
Pretty easy to explain away, yeah, especially and like you could again, I don't know, you could probably chop it up to yeah, it fell into an old like branch pit or some shit, fucked itself up and then like wandered out over the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
they
think
do
they even
say
like say some shit like that in the movie.
that there's like teeth marks on it. So that's what they think
Hmm.
is like, "Oh, it got hurt and then it tried to run away and it
Yeah.
just fell and whew, thank God it didn't land on one of us because
Yeah,
this thing's so
exactly.
big, you know?"
Fucking crazy.
And so they're just like, okay, two on watch, four sleeping. Let's be treat this exercise like it's real.
Hmm.
And then they get up the next day. They go to the top of the hill. They look at some stuff. They see like the blood trail, and they're like, well, it's going in the direction we're going. And I'm really curious, is what Wells says. They say something
Yeah.
about like, oh, should we just like call this in and someone else can like figure
Go check it
out.
out.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, that's what we should do, but I'm curious and it's in the same
It's on the way.
direction." So they like follow its blood trail and eventually rather than like as they're following the trail, they find a bunch of its organs.
Yeah.
And that's when Wells says, oh, all of a sudden this doesn't seem so natural anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like something along those lines.
Hmm.
And as he's like looking at this shit, they realize that they're in a little nest that the SAS had built,
Hmm.
and there's real guns everywhere and guts that they're
Live,
like
yeah, live
slipping on.
ammunition and fucking yeah, just gore everywhere.
And they're just like confused. They're like, there's tranquilizers, there's nets. Like, what
Hmm.
the fuck is going on here? And as they're looking around, all of a sudden Ryan pops out from underneath something, waving a gun around and screaming.
Yeah.
And they're all like, "No, it's us. We're here for you." And he has a big gaping wound on his chest, and he's like going into shock. So they start doing field dressing on him, and Cooper recognizes him. They didn't realize this is who they're, doing this
Up
exercise with.
against, yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I know this guy, SAS, blah 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 blah." And he just keeps yelling, "There was only supposed to be one of them," over and
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. And like
And
they killed my entire crew or something like that. They killed everyone.
yeah, they're coming back. They can't be
Hmm.
killed. All this
Hmm.
all this like crazy cryptic
Just
stuff.
rambling. Yeah.
And so everyone switches their fake guns for real guns, grabs as much of the gear and ammo as they can, and Spoon keeps yelling at Ryan, and Ryan won't listen, or not Ryan, Wells, and Wells won't listen to him. And then finally, Spoon just goes, "Well, it's going to be dark in half an hour for anyone who cares." And Ryan like
Yeah.
makes like a crazy face
Yeah.
at that. So, obviously that's bad.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
So they dress his wound and they pick him up and they start taking him with them. And as they're moving through the forest, all of a sudden the wolves like set upon them and Bruce gets separated from the group and they're all running and shooting
Yeah.
at these wolves and Bruce runs and gets impaled by a sharpened tree branch.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking wild. I was like, whoa,
And
what a
and that again implies the intelligence that they
yep,
created a trap and ran
traps.
him into the trap.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that. You're totally right though. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And then as he sits there suffering on the branch,
Dude, that was fucking crazy.
I kind of talk about this all the time because it's happened to me a couple times. But when you like walk into like a door or like a glass door or
I was
something,
gonna say you've been impaled multiple times.
no. Thank God only the once. But when you like walk into a glass door or like a screen that you don't know is there,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
hurts really bad
Yeah, it
because you
hurts
don't
real bad.
realize like the physical math of like
Yeah.
how much
Your
force you
forward
move.
momentum. Yep.
Yeah, like you don't think about it. So like running onto
Mm-hmm.
something that's sharp enough, like it goes like 2 feet through him,
Oh,
but it's like
yeah.
if you're really sprinting with all you got and you don't
Yeah.
see it, like
Yeah.
it is possible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like nothing out of the realm of possibility is happening here. Like it really feels succinct. And I will say, for some reason, this reminded me of like a Fulci film, like the Italian filmmaker who made I think it was Zombie, but
Hmm.
the guy who made Zombie is like there are kills in that film that you don't typically see in a zombie film. You know what I mean? Like the in particular the eye one that everybody knows, like her being like dragged and fucking and impaled on the piece of wood, like her eye. But
Hmm.
that reminds me of like a Fulci kill, like where it's not like where like this movie is clearly about werewolves. There are werewolves chasing them, but
Yeah,
that
yeah,
motherfucker gets impaled by a stake. You're like, what?
yeah. And then as he's suffering, one of the werewolves comes and takes his head off.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy. It's so cool.
And then Wells gets separated from the group as well because he's going after Bruce and he finds Bruce's body and then they throw the head at him and
Yeah,
he gets into a fight with a couple of the werewolves and he's holding his own and then finally they slash him across the gut and his guts start falling out
dude, they
and we
fucking yeah, like a
we get
pouch.
we get an incredible exchange here where he's fighting these wolves off, barely hanging on, and right as he's about to get taken out, Cooper shows up and unloads, and between the two of them, they're able to fight them off.
Hmm.
And as he's sitting there, fucking bleeding. He's like, "Come on, Sergeant, let's go." And he's like, "No, Coop, I'm done." And he's like, "No, Sergeant, you're not done." And he goes, "Coop, my guts are out." And he goes, "Well, then we'll just put them back in." And he goes, "They're not gonna fit."
Yeah, they're not gonna fit. Of
And
course
he's like,
they will.
and he's like, yeah, he's like, "What do you mean they're not gonna fit?" And he just starts shoving his guts back into him.
It's disgusting.
And he's just fucking screaming as you know, as he has a
Yeah,
right to. And
exactly.
he and Cooper picks him up and they start running and they do this really cool thing. I actually really like this sequence. As they're all going, one person is dragging Ryan, the other is
Yeah,
dragging Wells. So both of the commanding officers are horribly
interesting. Yeah,
wounded.
yeah.
And as they're running, so there's the six squad members.
Uh,
So basically, three of them will run ahead while the other ones
stays
hunker
behind.
down and
Yeah.
start shooting. And then once the other ones get down, like they reload while they're running, and then
Hmm.
they turn around. And when they turn around, the other ones start. So they're
They
doing
lay
this like
down cover
staggered
fire.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought a lot of times in movies, they don't really, they'll be
Explain the
like,
tactics.
yeah, they'll be like, these are military guys. And then it's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
they're kind of just shooting. And because it's a movie, no one's hitting them and they're hitting everybody,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But like,
This one kind of explains the how the teamwork, like the inner workings of like the communication between them. It's just so natural between them. They just know, this is my part in the formation. I need to hold that, you know what I mean? And like it's really, yeah, you're right. Like watching them kind of work together as a unit very much adds to the reality of it. I would say it grounds it more in reality, more believable. You know what I mean?
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just cool to actually see it instead of it being just we're told that they're badasses. Because no matter who
Hmm.
we're told is the hero in a movie with gunfights, people just aren't gonna shoot good at them, and they're gonna shoot good at other people. It's
Literally, and
like,
I think it's funny too. We even brought up Predator in this conversation because I think that's exactly what we're talking about when we refer to that. It's just like I don't ever remember in that movie like tactics really being used. It's just a lot of muscly men all oiled up and fucking firing at shit in the jungle.
the closest thing to it is Jesse Ventura telling them to get down.
Yeah. So funny. Yeah, yeah.
Get
For
down!
sure.
I'm running for governor. No,
For sure.
I actually agree with a lot of his politics, to be totally honest.
So fucking funny, man.
Oh no, wait, no,
Uh,
wait, hold on. I'm getting confused. I think I did, but I think he turned into a UFO nut at some point. So
Probably. Yeah,
I think at some
probably.
point I think at some point he was
Flew off the
like
rails.
Medicare for all, brother, and I was like, hell yeah, Jess.
So yeah, as we were saying though, it's definitely like, tactics being shown in the movie. I agree. It adds to the reality of it, kind of grounds you towards them. And it makes also it explains the fact that their unit is very connected. Like they're really like they communicate with each other non-verbally as well. It's very cool to see that just how like in sync they all are.
Hmm.
And not
Yeah,
just with their watches.
yeah, definitely. So they make their way to a road, and in that on that road they get picked up by this woman Megan in this Humvee, and she just yells at them like, "Come on, get in, hurry the fuck up!" And
Hmm.
so she's the Van Helsing of the movie.
Yeah, that's
She picks them up
so
and
good.
takes them to this little farmhouse and
Yeah.
tells them like this is her friend's house. She lives in the next glen in another house, and that there's all this crazy stuff going on, and there's werewolves, and they're all just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then the werewolves show up,
Yeah.
and they destroy her car first of all to
Yeah.
keep
Which was cool.
them.
They rip out the engine. They
Yeah.
are like they like tear they fuck up the engine. Like so again, showing the retaining that knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah, they really fuck the car up. It's crazy
Mhm.
looking.
Yeah.
And there's also a dog in the house. So
Yeah. Aw.
they redo the dressings for the two wounded guys, and
There's
and they
weirdly like food made and everything. There's like stew laying out and shit.
and this is an interesting part. Put a pin in this. He starts eating the stew,
Hmm.
spoon, I believe,
Hmm.
and
With a
Megan,
spoon?
maybe, I would hope so. There's
Sorry.
broth.
It was
Um,
dumb. It was stupid and I fucking regret
no, I
it.
liked it. I liked it. Um,
You were
and
saying.
they tell Megan because she's like appalled by this. She's like, "Well, where are my friends in the first place? I'm worried about them, and now you're gonna
Yeah.
eat their food." And they're like, "That's part of our training. Don't ever skip an opportunity to eat."
Yeah. 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 Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting line, and that probably is
Yeah.
truly military training.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Well, yeah, because if you're out in the fucking wilderness, you never know. Mm.
Yeah, so they all eat a little bit, and there's the stew, and Spoon's the only one who eats the stew, and someone says, "What is that?" And he goes, "I think it's pork." And he eats it, and then they get into a whole confrontation where
Mm.
Ryan is basically telling them that he's going to take over, and I think he tries to kill the dog. I can't remember what
Yeah, he
happens.
tries again. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I was like, Jesus, with this fucking guy already.
And they just confront him and tell him to, fuck off, and
Hmm.
that like he's not in command, and he's lucky that they're even helping him and all this shit.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, whatever, fuck you. Where do I have to go?
Yeah.
So he goes upstairs, but they kind of intermittently just get attacked by werewolves for the rest of the movie. So like there's like a scene of them doing something, and then the werewolves come back and they shoot at them until they run away,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like kind of just alternating those two.
Hmm.
So at one point they're
Hmm.
getting attacked, and Wells is on the floor bleeding, and the dog starts like pulling at
Ah, that
his
was
dressings.
fucking disgusting.
Oh, and
Uh,
I think that's why Ryan's getting ready to kill the dog,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then they stop him once the attack is over. So the not the Land Rover, the Humvee gets destroyed. They take
Might
Wells
have been.
upstairs to dress his wounds. Ryan is suspiciously healthy at this point,
Yeah, yeah.
and they go upstairs to try and do more like field dressing on Wells, and it's Megan and Cooper. And Cooper tells her like get a bunch of super glue, gives
This
like a
is the
history
scene. This is
lesson.
the scene we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier. Yeah, yeah.
he gives like a history lesson on how super glue was developed to patch soldiers up in
Hmm.
Vietnam, and so they're like gluing his stomach together, but they don't have anesthesia, so they just give him
Uh,
like a
Fucking
fuck ton of
whiskey or
whiskey,
something. Yeah.
and he gets like absolutely pissed drunk to the point that he's like, "I love you, mate. I love
Yeah.
you so much.
He's
You're my best
screaming.
mate." And like,
It's so good, dude.
and then finally he tells Cooper, he's like, it hurts so bad. Knock me
He's
out.
like,
Knock me
knock
the
me out,
fuck
knock
out.
me out.
And he punches him and he drops him. And then he pops back up and he goes, "You're such a fucking pussy. You call that a punch?" And then he drops him again for real that time.
It's so good, dude. I was cracking the fuck up that whole time. Oh, talk about a performance, man. That motherfucker. That's what I was like. Oh, hell yeah. I fuck with this dude. Yeah, I love him.
So in the midst of all of this stuff, they kind of just, like we said, keep alternating between a little bit of exposition and werewolf attacks. There's
Yeah.
kind of like not a lot of plot to move forward through in
No.
this section. It's a lot of action though, so it's cool to watch.
Hell yeah.
So basically, in between attacks, they fortify the building a little bit. Megan tells them more about the area. She tells them they're lycanthropes, and they're
Hmm.
like, "What?" And then one of
Hmm.
them, I think
You, you what? I
it's
love
it,
this. Like the
it,
lycanthropes. You what?
and then Joe says, uh, "Those are werewolves," and then they get attacked again, and then after the attack, she goes, "What do you think now?" And Cooper turns around and goes, "I think Joe worded it better." By which he just means they're dumb, so they don't know what a lycanthrope is. So
Exactly.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, literally. That's so funny. Yeah, and
and
then like they're at this point they're like he tells them they haven't run out of ammo yet. Like they haven't like
yeah, they
they're
still
having
have a
yeah, they
decent
have
amount
to
of
have a
ammo.
decent amount. Okay, yeah, because later on I like how they like start trying to get all the fucking silverware and shit. That
Yeah,
was
yeah. At
funny.
one point, they look through the house to find anything silver, and they can't.
Hmm.
Um, and so they end up blowing up Megan's car at one point to try
Yeah.
and keep them off. They're unloading a lot in them, but it's just not like it'll
Mm,
scare them off, but it
yeah.
won't kill them.
Hmm.
At one point, Cooper tells them to boil all the water that they can. And
Yeah.
during one of the sieges, they pick up one of the pots and just throw a bunch of fucking boiling water in one of
Yeah.
the werewolves'
Out the
faces.
window. That shit was crazy.
Which I was like, yeah, I mean, even if you're magically fucking immortal, that's gonna
Exactly.
hurt
It's
like
gonna fucking
fuck.
suck. Yeah.
Like, there's probably a point in that where you wish that you could just die from pain, you know?
Can't bibbity bobbity boo that bitch away.
Yeah, oof. Yeah,
Yeah,
that seems
they
real
fucked
bad.
them up. Yeah, it's crazy. The werewolves take a beating for sure. It's crazy. Which I
They really
like though.
do.
They don't feel like I feel like if you made the wolves too overpowered, the movie doesn't isn't as interesting. You know what I mean? Like I like the fact that they have their humanity and shit still intact to where they can take a lot of damage, but you're right, it is that magical aspect where like they're not fucking dead after taking a full mag to the fucking chest, you
Yeah, exactly.
know?
At one point, they look around the house for like any blades they can find because they're
Yeah.
getting
Oh,
worried
that
about
was
running out of
great.
ammo. And they find an axe, and then they find like a Scottish fucking two-handed sword. It's not a
Literally.
claymore, but it's a sword.
It's just a fucking big ass sword at the coffee table. I was like, yo, what?
And the coffee table's like a treasure chest, so it's
Yeah.
like a family heirloom sword, you know.
Oh man, that was so good, man. I was cracking it because he's like swinging it like
So at one point they decide if they can survive until the morning,
Mhm.
then because they're werewolves, they should become human again and they should be able to get out of here. And so they formulate a plan that they're going to try to get into this there's a garage that has a Land Rover in it, and
Yeah.
then there's a barn. And she
Mm-hmm.
tells them that the werewolves are probably in the barn.
Yep.
So their plan is to get the Land Rover and try to escape. And so they go up to the top floor, and there's a window on either side, and they drop Terry out of one window and Spoon out of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so Spoon is the distraction, and he lights a flare and gets the wolves to chase him while Terry goes over to get the Land Rover.
God, he's
And
so ready to fucking die. I love it, dude. I love Spoon
yeah.
so much, dude.
So he gets the Land Rover, and when he turns on the lights, the engine, he sees the wolves inside the garage eating
Yeah.
one of their friends,
Dude, that was
eating
fucking
Bruce's
crazy.
body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so he rams the wolf and gets the Land Rover over to the house. But once he gets it to the house, he realizes that there's a wolf
In the
inside with
back
him.
seat.
So
Fucking
Joe
crazy.
Joe pulls a knife and tries to fight the werewolf and dies.
Yeah.
Spoon barely makes it back up because they have like a rope dangling for him. And right after he gets up, one of the wolves comes up going after the like on the rope. And so
Hmm.
they're fighting the wolf, and they start using a camera to take pictures of
Oh
the
yeah, I thought
wolves.
that was interesting. Yeah, they're like using the flash to
Yeah.
fucking blind them.
Yeah, that's truly what it's for,
Hmm.
is the flash. But what they end up doing is taking a lot of pictures
Using
of like their faces
as
close up and
evidence. Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
yeah.
So every time they do that, because they have night vision, it's like,
Hmm.
blowing out their eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
So she does that a few times, and then they cut the rope, and it's like hell of a Wile E. Coyote, like, whoop,
Yeah, it totally is.
and then he just fucking falls 20 feet.
Yeah, dude. I will say the fight with Joe and the fucking werewolf in the car, that shit reminded me of the car fights. If you've ever seen those fucking YouTube
Oh yeah,
videos,
like the
like
the
just two
car
dudes like
jitsu.
yeah, car jitsu, yeah. Just
Yeah,
reminded me
that
of
shit's
that.
crazy.
That shit is wild, bro.
That shit's insane. Trying to choke each other with the fucking
Yeah, with the
seatbelts and shit.
seatbelts, dude. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. But yeah, that totally reminded me of that. I just had to bring that up.
No, that shit's crazy. That's one of like the best parts of living in the modern world, car jitsu.
This car jitsu.
In the early 2000s, we had Japanese bug fighting online. Do you ever watch that?
No.
Oh,
Oh, I think
bro.
I think I might have seen like one or two,
I
but
think if you just Google it
oh man,
right now,
this is gonna be a
you could probably
rabbit
find
hole.
it.
I'm gonna
But
fall
you
into a rabbit hole, man.
straight up, you'll just have like giant Asian hornet versus like Hercules beetle.
Yeah, I have
And
seen this. Yeah,
and
for sure.
I
Yeah,
think they like spray pheromones on them to make them
that's
fight or
fucked up, dude.
something, and
That's
then they'll like put them in like a lot of them. It'll be like a like water, and
hmm.
then like a log, and so they're just like on
They
like
make
this
fucking
ring.
tabletop arenas for
Bro,
fucking.
bro, it's crazy.
That's fucking
And you know
crazy.
what's really funny is in JoJo, there's a part where
Hell yeah, we got a
these
JoJo
these
reference.
two guys are betting on a beetle fight, and neither of them knows the other one has a stand, and they're both secretly using their stand in subtle ways to like
That's so funny to
help
like further the
help.
fight.
Yeah, it's actually one of the best parts.
I love
Uh,
that.
but no, that's a really weird rabbit hole to fall
Oh.
down, like spiders versus praying mantises and
Yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it. I'm sure I've
just
seen some
fucking
shit like
fighting to the death. Like,
that. That's fucking wild. Did we? Okay, did I don't want to pass it up. We didn't pass up the scene where Spoon is fighting with one like no,
no,
that's in
no.
the breakup. That's where they break all oh they break off and there's like three fights. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're
I
we're
got yeah.
definitely gonna highlight
I
that
got
part
confused because
when
yeah,
we
there's a
get to
lot,
it.
dude. It's just a lot of action. You're totally right. It's just like heavy siege and then just fucking retract for a little bit for some exposition. That's it.
Exactly. They hurt them enough that they need to like regenerate, so it buys
Hmm.
them a little time.
Yeah, yeah.
So Joe gets the Land Rover back. Spoon makes it back in safely, and they then decide that they're going to interrogate Ryan and find out what he knows. And he tells them that they were sent there to capture a live werewolf for study and to essentially use it as a weapon. Like they mentioned, like you know how we use dolphins to disarm bombs, or we
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
animals for different combat purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the combat application of these fucking
Dogs to send
monsters.
them in space, you know.
And that's a little bit of a sequel hook in there
And there,
because
yeah. Okay, interesting.
there was two intended sequels. So
Hmm.
the next movie was going to be a human squad fighting against a trained squad of dog soldiers.
Interesting.
That they were going to be werewolves that were fully trained as soldiers.
That's cool. See, I want to see that shit, man. I'm trying to fucking
Yeah,
see that. That sounds
yeah,
fun.
that would have been fucking sick.
Hell yeah.
So he tells them that's the plan. They want to use these as weapons. And he said, "So why are we even here? What was even the purpose of the game?" And he goes, "Well, uh, they're the
Oh,
bait for us,
the
and you're
higher
the
ups,
bait for them.
yeah, the higher ups deemed you
Expendable."
expendable. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they sent them there with fake guns so that the wolf would kill them and they'd be able to
Hmm.
capture the wolf. But it ended up
Yeah.
being a whole family of wolves that
Yeah.
attacked them.
Yeah, and I
And
love, and I will say that too. I just want to bring up the fact that like you start with the stakes so extremely high and you set them with like at a deficit right away with no equipment or no means of like actually defending themselves for real. And then
mhm,
like you get as you go on, you see they have limited resources against this threat, but as they're going on, they're proving more and more like capable, you know what I mean? Like as soldiers to be able to use whatever they have around them and like be resourceful and shit. I
yeah.
really, really liked how they kept that. Like they're not going in there like Predator with like light machine guns and huge fucking,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they're it's kept it so interesting for me.
Yeah, even the guns that they do get, they just have like shotguns and machine guns. It's not, yeah,
Hmm.
like you said, they don't have a minigun, they don't have an LMG, they don't have rockets. They
And
have
in
like a couple
between,
grenades.
yeah, and in between all that though, they keep talking about how much ammo do we have left, and you keep hearing how depleted it is. It's like we have two more
Yeah.
mags for this.
Yeah, near the end they straight count it and then Spoon even goes plus one extra just in
Yeah, yeah,
case.
just in case, yeah.
Like
Which is crazy.
took that one out of the count. Like, and by the
Hmm.
way, if it gets bad enough, I'm fucking blowing my brains out.
Yep, I don't blame them. Fucking
And s-
wild.
and so it had been hinted at, but it becomes stated at this point
Hmm.
that the wolves are the owners of the house.
Yeah,
The reason that these wolves are not just leaving is because this is their home.
that's where
There's
they
there is
go.
nowhere
Yeah,
else for them to
it's
go.
crazy.
And
Yeah, and I think that well, we didn't explain earlier that the barn that they were trying to explode, that they thought the wolves were nesting in there because they said that they like to be in places that are cold and dark or something like, or no, cold, burrow in the places that are warm and dark. That's what it was.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
she tells them she's a zoologist at first and that
yeah.
she thought this was a rescue mission because apparently her and her neighbors have been like fighting with and hiding from these monsters for so long and
Hmm.
whatnot. So she tells them, yeah, that it's in there. So they're gonna do something about that momentarily.
Yeah,
But they're talking to Ryan. He reveals that it's the family. He reveals the plan, and then they mention that he seems to be like all better all of a sudden, and they can't tell why. And he's strapped down, and Cooper starts to go to like take his dressing off, and he's like, "Don't do it! Don't you fucking do it!" Just
yeah.
yelling at him. And so eventually he pulls it off, and his wound is healed,
Yep.
and he starts to transform into a werewolf.
Hmm.
And they light him up, and he runs out and breaks out the window and escapes into the forest.
Yep.
So then they decide
Super cool little transformation because it's like very subtle too. It's just his eyes and like I think like his
his
eyebrows
hands.
get like a little elongated too, like his brow, and then his hands. Yeah, like it's very much
Yeah.
that
And
motherfucker
then
got a hard nail set on him. I was like, bro, I want my shit like that, dude. That shit's hard.
And then he like slides under the table and then they switch him for someone in the full prosthetic.
Yeah.
So that's how
Yeah.
they achieve his transformation in like a
Hmm.
couple stages without, because I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't think that like he's gonna start like
Yeah, growing. Yeah, yeah.
morphine. Like I'm like, I don't think they have the budget
Well,
to do it practically, and I don't think there's any CGI.
because that's
And
what I
then
think. I
he
think like usually for me when I'm going into a werewolf movie now, it's almost like, yeah, how is it? How are they going to do the transformation? Like, how are they going to pull it off? You know what I mean? Because it's like, because I mean, you don't pull it off like American Werewolf in London. That's probably one of the greatest fucking like
there's one
transformation
from a
scenes.
couple movies ago, or a couple movies, a couple years ago
Yeah.
that I sent to our group chat like literally like 2 or 3 years ago,
Mm.
and I think it's called Werewolf Cop, and the transformation in the
Yeah.
movie literally starts with the guy's like
His
drunk as
dick.
fuck. Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes into the
Yeah.
bathroom to piss, and as he's pissing, his dick's in his hand, and it turns into a werewolf
Yeah.
dick. Just
So good. Yeah, we brought that up on the gym episode too. That was so funny.
so fucking
Yeah,
absurd,
because
dude.
it's like, yeah, it's true. How are you gonna pull off? You know what I mean? How are you gonna make it interesting? You know what I mean, or whatever. But it's like this one, they were like, no, we're gonna move all of our chips are going into like the full prosthetic. Like that's where we're going in first. So we're gonna just use subtle right up front, like for transformations. That's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah,
Subtle. It's very. I thought it was a great choice.
yeah, and they did build like three of them because we see three of them at once at one point.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They're fucking
Um,
massive too. It's crazy. They barely fit in fucking doorways. It's wild.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Super
huge.
fun.
They're really
Yeah.
big. There's the shot when it's in the upstairs bedroom and it stands fully.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like the iconic shot of the film.
That makes
That's
sense.
like it's
Yeah.
on the back of the DVD. If you
Okay.
like look up the movie, that's gonna be the like the first
First thing you
screenshot you
see.
see
Yeah.
where it's just standing above Wells. Because at one point in this, they realize like, oh fuck, Wells, and they run upstairs and they're just standing there like, we about to eat this boy, and so they just fucking light
Yeah.
him up. But yeah, that's like the big iconic shot. So
That
they
makes sense.
decide to use the Land Rover as a bomb. They're like, we're not getting out of here. The best we can do is use it as a bomb. So I can't. I think it's Spoon who gets in because at this point, Terry's dead. We kind of skipped over that. I think Terry just gets pulled out of the house at one point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was just kind of one of those like, and he's gone now. Never mind.
yeah, exactly.
You're like,
He
what the
like
fuck?
backs up to a window or something, and they rip him
Yeah, yeah. They
out.
rip him out. Yeah.
And so they like cut a hole in the gas tank and drive the Land Rover into the barn, and then they light the petrol as Spoon is running back.
I like that you called
And
it
it
petrol.
yes, petrol,
Yep.
uh, cheeseoid. Anyway, um, they light it on fire as he's running back. So he's running, and the flames go in the opposite direction,
Super
and then
fun.
and then it blows up the whole barn. And when he comes back in, they're like, "Okay, what? How'd it go?" And he's just like, "There were no fucking werewolves in there." And this is when Megan reveals to us, and to me, this is just nonsense. Truly,
Mhm.
the rest of the movie just
Mhm.
this just makes it all kind of make no
I mean,
sense.
we're gonna have to suspend disbelief going into a werewolf movie.
Yeah, but this to me is just kind of nonsense.
For
Megan
sure.
reveals that, so they say, I think it's Spoon who says, you know, when I was out there, I couldn't help but notice there's no house in the next glen.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cooper says, the reason you're not in any of these family photos is because you're the one who was taking them.
Mm-hmm.
And she reveals she is a member of the family. She is a werewolf, and that like she's just been fucking
Well,
with them the whole time.
that's the thing. So that's what I was saying. So earlier you see that she cuts her hand on the glass seal when one of them it might have even, yeah, who we were talking about earlier, when he gets ripped out, she goes
Mhm.
and like puts her hand on the seal and then like, yeah, she cuts her hand. And I'm assuming that's where it started.
There's there no, so she's a member of the family. She's been a werewolf the entire time.
But that's what
So
I'm saying too. That's what I'm saying. So I was like, she has the whole spiel about like, yeah, being a part of this family isn't easy or something like that. And I was just like, wait, what? So you were one this whole time, or did it
yeah.
just start?
So
I have no idea.
she was one the entire time. So something that Neil Marshall, the writer director,
Yeah.
said about the movie is that he wanted to avoid cliches, and he didn't want it to be about a curse or about how bad it is to be a werewolf.
Hmm.
He wanted it to be a fresher take where like there's enjoyment and there's joy in being a werewolf. That these wolves are just like this was just fun to them to
Yeah,
screw
it was
with
just a
these
sport.
people.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the whole thing is like they just have control. They can transform or they cannot. So she just
Interesting.
decided not to transform up until that moment.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just wondering. I was like, why do you put so much emphasis? They do emphasize the cut on the hand. That's why I was just like,
And part of that is because that was the sequel hook for the third movie.
okay. So it was meant to be like sort of like, well, I mean, not even necessarily a red herring, but like put a pin in that. We'll be back.
Yeah, because
Got
there's
you.
something I can't totally find it right now, but there was something that I was reading that said that oh, here we go. Um it said that basically oh, in a audio commentary for Dog Soldiers, Neil Marshall stated that the moment in the film where Megan cuts her hand on a shard of glass
Hmm.
was meant to be a setup for a second sequel about werewolf
Interesting.
DNA.
Interesting.
So there
Okay.
was there was supposed to be something about that moment that had more significance moving forward,
Yeah,
but
because I
it's
was like,
not.
you lingered too long on that shot. I there was like, okay, because that's why I got confused. I was like, okay, so that's where she started transforming.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
unless maybe what they were going to try to explain was like she's the youngest in the family and it skipped her and so they didn't turn her into
Hmm.
one because they didn't want her to be and then like she felt left out. So maybe that was like what this was all about was like her finding a way to get their blood to make herself a werewolf. Like I don't know.
Yeah, for
It's
sure. It a
it's
little
kind of
convoluted, but
it's
yeah,
unknowable at this point,
yeah.
but there's a reason that it because it does linger in a weird way
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
on that shot because she just has
yeah.
like glass sticking out of her
Sticking
hand
out of it. It's like a
she's
whole ass shard.
just like that's weird. That's kind of an annoyance,
Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it kind of hints you off that something's not right about her.
Okay, then yeah, I think it could have been yeah, it just read one of two ways then, and I just took it as that other way.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, but
yeah,
I understand,
it's a
but
clever hook.
it's
It's a clever hook.
yeah. Yeah, there was going to be another movie where they showed that shot again in sepia slow motion.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure, 100%.
Like that's totally what that shot was like set up for. It was like, all
That's
right,
so
we'll
funny.
repurpose this in the other movie.
That's so fucking funny. Sepia. That's
So
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 goddamn funny.
so she reveals that she's a member of the family and that she's a werewolf, and then the
Mhm.
other three pop up behind her like a Queen album cover as she starts to transform. Tell me that's not exactly.
Totally true.
Tell me
God
that's not a
damn it, that
hundred
was
fucking
so
percent.
good. The hair.
Everything.
That's that's so funny. Yeah, you're so right.
So she starts to transform, and
Oh
just
my
as her eyes like hit
God.
the yellow contact phase, Wells shoots her in the head and kills her. And then he and Cooper run upstairs, and right before this too, Cooper asks Wells, "How are you feeling?" And he goes, "Honestly, I feel fucking fantastic, a
Yeah.
little too fantastic."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it seems like just being attacked by them, if you survive, you become one. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be a bite because he just got clawed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. I don't think, yeah, generally I think it was like through scratches or like clawing, and that's how they transform in this one.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Unless you're getting your fucking throat ate out.
So now Wells, who has been wounded, is like in fine condition. So it's Wells, Cooper, and Spoon are left, and Wells and Cooper get chased upstairs by two of the werewolves, and Spoon is in the kitchen with one of them, and he has
Dude, he's throwing the entire kitchen at that
yeah.
motherfucker.
He doesn't have
It's
any
so
weapons on
good.
him. They're pretty much out of ammo at this point. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the other two have the guns.
Hmm.
And so he just drops to his boxing training and he is just bobbing and weaving
Fucking
and
throwing hands,
he's
bro.
beating the shit out of this werewolf.
It's
It's just
fucking his ass up.
it's kind of like in Resident Evil games or in horror games how it starts out with you being like, "Oh, I got to creep around these corners and all this shit." But by
We've
the end of the game, you're
we've
just
talked
like
about it. You get the rocket launcher.
You're like, yeah, you're like
And Chris is
Dimitrescu.
throwing boulders.
Yeah, you're like Dimitrescu has killed me 12 times. Like it's not scary anymore. Like
Exactly.
I've seen what happens.
Yeah.
So now when it's time to throw hands with her, like I'm ready to fucking beat her ass, you know? Like when you're first just walking around in eight and
Yeah.
she's stalking the hallways, like
Yeah. It's
bro,
terrifying.
I
Yeah.
have a Twitch clip of me screaming when I turned a corner and she was there, you know?
Yeah,
Like
100%.
but by the end of the game you're like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Fuck all of
You're
you.
like, bring it, bitch. Let's go.
Exactly. So that's the phase. That's where Spoon is at with it.
Yeah, 100%.
He's
He's
just
end
like,
game Resident Evil.
yeah, he's like, I don't care if you hit me, I die, obviously, but like I can dodge like punches, boxing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can dodge you.
Yeah. You're
So
gonna take me out, but I'm gonna make you hurt.
he's getting in there, bro, and he's like
He's
the little
fucking him up. Yeah, dude.
a little fucking peekaboo style in there, and he like you said, he throws everything. He throws boiling
Everything.
water. He throws pots and
Mhm.
pans. He just starts screaming at one
Yeah,
point,
dude.
and
It's
then
so fun.
he picks up a knife and just keeps boxing with the knife in his
Dude,
hand.
he
And like,
fuck yeah, he gores the shit out of him at one point. He's just like, fuck yeah.
I truly believe he would have won, but then a second werewolf shows
Oh
up,
yeah, of course.
and
They don't fight fair. Yeah.
they pin him to
They're
the
cheaters.
wall. They pin him to the wall, and then he says,
I hope I give you the shits, you little wimp.
yeah. I thought that was pretty sick.
That was fucking incredible. Dude, that was my favorite line.
He said earlier in the movie, I can't remember when, but he goes, "Dogs more like pussies."
Yeah. So stupid. I hope I give you the shits is the best fucking line I've ever heard. I was like, that's just some shit to say to someone right before you die.
Yeah.
That's
It's
wild.
it was pretty sick. I loved it. And then
Hell yeah.
Wells and Cooper end up in like an armoire type thing in one of the bedrooms, and they look down and there's just full human skeletons on the
Yeah,
floor
that
of
was
it.
fucking cool. Yeah.
And then Wells tells Cooper, "Mind your toes," and he like
Yeah.
shoots a hole in the floor, and they drop through it into the kitchen to where fucking Spoon is now dead.
Mhm.
And then they open the cellar, and Wells tells Cooper to get down there, and Cooper doesn't want to, and Wells is like, "Look, bitch, I'm fucking turning. Like, you need to get the
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
out of here." And he closes the cellar on him, and then he cuts the gas line to the oven so
Yeah.
that the house starts filling with gas.
Hmm.
And then the wolves all come in, and he 1v3s them for a second, just long enough
One,
to
two, three.
hit the burner and blow the whole fucking house up.
Yeah, that shit was so cool. A little like click, and then it just fucking explodes. So I was like, hell
He
yeah.
goes out like such a G, dude.
Oh yeah,
Wells
yeah.
is so sick in this movie.
He's the fucking shit. The last two, that's what I'm saying. Him and Spoon have the
Oh,
best fucking deaths and the best fucking
and
characters.
before he sends Cooper down, he hands him a roll of film.
Oh yes, he says
So
you can prove what happened. Yep.
yeah, so this is it was meant to be the camera was just to keep them alive, but now
Hmm.
all of a sudden it turns into,
Their only
take
means
this
of
with
like,
you.
yeah, of like verifying that anything actually happened.
Yeah, and so magical or not, a fucking gas explosion is going to take you out.
Yeah, exactly.
So he kills the whole family. And then as the sun starts to rise, we can see like some sunlight coming into this cellar. Cooper starts moving around, and there's like, an exploded house on top of him, so he can't just lift the thing he came through.
Yeah.
So he starts to see that there's just tons of half-eaten, torn apart, disemboweled bodies like
Hmm.
hanging from hooks everywhere.
Yeah, they're like the Sawyer family of fucking werewolves.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. 100%.
That's crazy.
And and he's going trying to get out of here, and all of a sudden one more werewolf shows up, and it has the sword through its chest, which we forgot to mention that
Yeah,
earlier. When Wells turns, they fight him and they try to stab him with the sword through his back, so the blade is sticking through the front of his
his
chest.
torso. It's
And
oh man, this scene is so fucking crazy, man.
it's funny because one of the final boss fights of Silent Hill 2, or the final boss fight, there's three phases, and the second phase is
Mhm.
basically this.
Oh,
You're like
interesting.
in a cellar, tight corridor, running around trying
Oh
to
God.
avoid it and figure out what the fuck to do.
Close quarters boss battles fucking stress me out,
Oh,
bro.
big time. Big time.
Yeah, yeah. So watching this, yeah, it was very, very, very stressful. And then the fucking big scene happens with the fucking go explain it, explain it. This
Yeah,
shit is
well, Wells
crazy.
Wells grabs him and starts trying to put the sword through his mouth, and you
Yeah.
see you see it like grinding
It
on his
grinds on
teeth.
his teeth when it goes like sort of in, dude. It goes
Mm.
like in. I was like, no, the fuck.
And then all of a sudden, the dog Sam
Oh, very good
shows
boy.
up and attacks Ryan, distracting him long enough for Cooper to fall down into like the vitriol, the blood and guts of it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he
Viscous.
finds, yes, thank you, viscera. That's what I was looking
There
for.
you
You
go.
helped me get there. I appreciate that. Um, and he finds the silver letter opener from the beginning of the movie
Yep.
on the corpses of that couple. And so he stabs him in the chest with it, and we
He
get the
finds
we.
the gun from the first act.
You know what? We said there was no CGI, but I think this is actually the only CGI that its chest like lights up magically,
Oh,
showing that like the
yeah.
silver sword
It
is
was
like,
a hint of CGI. It
yeah,
wasn't,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's really nothing.
Doesn't really count. Yeah.
It was like $10 of CGI.
Exactly. $10. That's so
Went a
good,
lot
yeah.
farther in 2002, let me tell you. That's another thing about watching The Wire is like literally at one point someone was like, "I'm making $30,000 a year now. We can afford a home." I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like,
"What?"
what the fuck?
I was like I was like, "How much is
Firmly,
money?"
yeah,
I was like,
firmly dating that. Yeah.
it has me feeling like when your grandpa tells you, we used to get a loaf of bread for a nickel, and you're just like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Go to sleep, Grandpa.
yeah. So this dog survives. Cooper and Sam
Yeah.
emerge from the cellar
The
into the
goodest
sunlight,
boy.
and the movie ends. And then as we go through the credits, we see several of
Shit's
the
so funny.
pictures, and then it
Yeah.
shows us that he's in like a tabloid with
Hmm.
the title "Werewolves Ate My Platoon," and then it zooms out to show you this is a small footnote, and the England versus Germany football game
Yeah,
is
they
the real
won
cover
five to
story.
one. They won
5-1.
5-1.
Won it for Spoonie.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Oh
that's the
man.
end of, unfortunately, the only chapter of Dog
Yeah,
Soldiers that will ever
dude.
exist.
That's so,
I
so why okay, so why ever? Like he explicitly said that?
It's been stated by a couple people
Oh
that like it's
man.
probably never going to happen. So in January 2004, they announced a sequel, Dog Soldiers Fresh Meat, that it would shoot for 35 days
Fun.
on a budget of 5.5 million.
Yeah.
It
Which is
never
an
happened.
improvement on what they had. That's double what
Yeah.
they fucking had.
Yeah, a little more
And
than
it was gonna
double.
be a better movie.
And the plot would be Private Cooper being picked up by an American team who we find out were the real opponents for the war games for Sergeant Wells' squad. So
Fun.
like they were supposed to be there, but instead this happened.
That's cool. That's fine.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a
a
great setup.
a year later, it was elaborated that in the first film, it was a family who were the werewolves. In this new one, it's an actual team of werewolves who are true military men. So even though they are now werewolves, they act like a trained unit.
That's sick. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. That's a great fucking premise. Great premise.
And then some of the characters actually love being a werewolf because they are so powerful, the ultimate killing machine. It's a
Hmm.
fun spin on the traditional angle that being a werewolf is a curse which damns the person no matter what. We
Hmm.
also have a very savage she-wolf in the climax who faces against the
Fun.
leader of the pack of dog
Nice.
soldiers. Production was not set for autumn 2006. By 21st of December 2008, however, information about the film had been removed from various web resources,
Wow, that
including the
sucks.
website of production company Kismet. A Little Red Riding Hood inspired web series, Dog Soldier's Legacy, was announced in September
Huh.
2011. A teaser trailer for the series was filmed in Northwest Arkansas over the last weekend of August 2011. Directed by Ryan Lightbourne, the trailer included members of the producer or the vice president of the production company's family, including his
Hmm.
grandma and his sister. And they also stated that a Dog Soldier sequel was in early pre-production. So that guy really believed in it if he has his family
Yeah.
in the. And then an early poster of Dog Soldier's fresh meat was released with the tagline "Coming 2014" across the bottom in March of 2014. They announced
Wow.
that a prequel and another sequel are in planning stages, and Fresh Meat would release on December 20th, 2014. Date passed with no release and no additional updates.
Damn, that sucks, dude.
Neil Marshall stated in an audio commentary, blah, 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 the thing with Megan.
Mm.
However, he added that the planned sequels will probably amount to nothing now.
Wow. Damn,
So
that
I don't,
sucks, man. That
yeah,
sucks because it's such a solid little premise. And like again, if he's using all of that money for the practical effects and like the settings, like fuck, that would have been it just would have been a stronger movie. It just would have been a
yeah,
stronger movie, you know?
I just don't understand why if they tried to launch it as like three different projects. I'm not sure
Hmm.
what happened. I mean, I know sometimes they'll say, "Let's do this thing," and then
Hmm.
it'll be the writing phase, and then the writers will sit there and be like, "Well, fuck, man, I'm just having a really hard time actually turning this into something."
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
there's lots of times where you sit there as a writer and you're like, fuck, how do I get from A to B? I did this thing and now,
Hmm.
but it doesn't make sense. So I got to go back and I got to change this. And because I changed that, I got to change this. Because I changed this, I
Yeah.
got to. So like,
But I
but
feel
I
like
don't know.
he laid enough of the groundwork where it was like totally cool. It was very succinct. It wasn't like totally out of the realm of possibility. It's like werewolves plus military troops. Like fucking that's it. That's all you need. Let's see how creative we can get within that sphere. And then the other thing is it was successful. So
Hmm.
why wouldn't you want to ride the fucking coattails of that? Like why? I just don't understand how, from like a studio perspective, how they didn't even like greenlight it off of that alone. Because it
It
saw a
seems
five
like it
million
prints
back.
money.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's fun. It's a solid little fucking film.
They
Holds the fuck up
easily they easily made another 10 mil from running it on
off
fucking
of just
sci-fi
Sci-Fi
for
Channel.
15
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Like straight up. They
Hmm.
get paid. Everyone involved in the movie gets paid every time it plays
Residuals.
on TV.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I just yeah, I really don't understand. It's very strange,
Yeah.
but hopefully one day we'll get
Yeah.
that sequel because it
Yeah.
feels like it almost writes itself, man.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It's just very easy to see that come to light, especially in this. And that's what makes me so confused is that in this era, the people were ripe for that shit. People were fucking absolutely eating this shit up. And yeah, you have pre-Underworld too. It's like this would have fucking. I bet that also helped with Underworld's success. Was this one's success? You know what I mean? Like it helped. I bet one preceded the other.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a goddamn shame. That's a goddamn shame, man.
It really is.
That's a
There's no reason, as far as I know, Neil
absolutely
Marshall's
not.
not a diddler, so
Yeah, 100%. I like how you have to Google.
you could tell that's what I was doing. That's hilarious.
Just
I
right away.
love I love that you could tell what I was doing.
You had to stop. You did a fucking full
It's
beeline. You're like,
it's
wait a minute.
it's kind of like when I said the Jesse Ventura thing, and then I
Yeah, yeah.
realized I
You're like,
remembered
wait
all
a
the
minute.
wacky shit I've heard him say too, and I was like, hold on, let me just say, he's he's surprisingly progressive in a lot of ways. He's got brain damage from
Oh,
fucking wrestling, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You know?
CTE is a real fucking thing.
Yeah, yeah. To be clear,
Oh,
not a shot.
fuck.
Literally just the fucking
Yeah, yeah.
that's why
Just them's the breaks, bro.
he literally tried to unionize and Hulk Hogan told on him.
Yeah,
And
which
if
is
Hulk
ugh.
hadn't told on him, maybe Chris Benoit wouldn't have killed his family.
Jesus Christ.
Th-
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fucking crazy, right? That's like a
Yeah,
real.
yeah, it's fucking wild. Yeah, literally, like, god damn, I never thought we'd bring up Chris Benoit on this fucking podcast. So yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, that's so yeah, it's fucked up. Anyway, to get off of that hill, let's get back to this movie. Can we get to the ratings?
Yeah, let's rate it up.
All right.
You go
I
first.
we rate out of 6 on this show. I remembered. I see. I did. I'm good. I'm being a good
Good.
boy.
We're getting better.
We're getting better. So, yeah, perfect 6, bro. What the fuck? Like, that's 6 out of 6 all day, every day, bro. This shit was so much fun. I have been telling everybody I know about this movie because I, obviously fell back in love with it, but there's literally nothing else you need. It's just werewolves versus soldiers. That's it. And it's like, fuck yeah, okay, get me in
Hmm.
there. Just like you sold me on La Horde, werewolves, or it was a zombies versus cops and robbers. I was like, bet,
Yeah, yeah.
bet, like that's it. That's all I need. Like, let's go.
It's
Solid
very
film.
similar to La Horde.
Yeah, solid little film. Excellent action sequences. Excellent fucking performances. Hilarious performances too. That's what I'm saying. If that wasn't written, great improvisation. You know what I mean? Like really fucking great improv from these guys. But solid film. Yeah, everything about it, and the fact that this guy went on to make The Descent is fucking crazy. That's wild to me, and I cannot wait to cover that movie. That's such a fucking fun movie. And again, in that same vein too, that one relied heavily on the practical effects as well. That is a very, very practical effects heavy movie, and the way that it's shot too, with like all the fucking dark caves and speaking of everything being wet in that movie, fucking it's all taking place in a fucking underwater cave and shit. So it is phenomenal. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It's fun for the whole family, man. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Super fucking great. 6 out of 6. Yeah, absolutely. As this is a new favorite, and
Yeah.
I fucking thank you for always bringing these new ones for me.
I knew you'd like it. It's a good palate cleanser. We've been doing a lot of really heavy and really thematic and really like obtuse sometimes movies where like, Dead or Alive where you have to like really think about it. You're like, okay, so what justified the penis robot at the end of that movie? This is very straightforward. Like I
Yeah.
said, it was a very easy. I was like, Amanda, did you like it? She was like, yeah, this was fun. I really liked
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes she's like, I really got to think about it because,
Yeah.
it was so crazily thematic and like what even just happened to me, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And that's totally fair. And that's how I feel sometimes. Like coming out of Companion, that's what I thought. I was like, I think
Hmm.
I need a little time to decide whether I liked it or not,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know? Um, but yeah, this is just very clear. It is what it is.
Hmm.
I think that's a big part of why they aired it so much because it was just it's fun. It's like
Yeah,
if you like sci-fi, if you like horror, and you also like action, this is a
yeah,
good middle ground of those genres. And
yeah.
like we said before, there's comedy horrors, there's action horrors.
Yep.
You can use the genre to inform what you're doing without it fully being a horror.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but the tension is actually a lot better in this movie than I thought. I remember saying to Amanda, I was like, it's not really a scary movie. Like there's really not one scary frame in it. But then as we were watching, I was like, actually the tension is
Yeah,
like
it's really well done.
surprisingly good. Yeah,
Yep,
surprisingly strong there.
absolutely.
Um,
The tension
I
with the fucking sword in the teeth was enough for me. I was like, "Oh God."
I'm glad to hear that you like it so much, having just
Yeah.
watched it now, because I felt like it was a lot of nostalgia for me. Because I
Oh
was like,
no.
yeah, if I'm just seeing this for the first time, maybe on like a real quality level, it's like a 3 or a 4, but on a level of like enjoyment, I would give it more. But
No,
it's good to
yeah.
know that you didn't feel that
No,
way.
immediately I was fucking in, and yeah, the more it went on, the more I fell in love with it. So yeah.
This is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, I sold like half of my DVD collection several years ago just to make space, and this
Mhm.
is one I held on to.
That's cool.
So among all my
I'm
foreign, all
glad.
my Mikes and my
Yep.
Park Chan Wooks and
Yep.
everything, I got fucking Dog Soldiers and Ali G in the house.
Such a fucking vast ends of both spectrums.
Right? What the fuck is wrong with me? So I'd give it a 6 out of 6. I enjoyed it quite a bit
That's
back
so
then
good.
and now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's
It's a it's
so
a it's a
fucking funny.
good it's a good date horror movie. Like I said,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
girlfriend really enjoyed it. If you want to watch something, with a potential partner that's not going to be like traumatizing,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't think you should jump into some of the movies we've shown
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as like, oh, let's watch Organ for our first movie
Yeah.
we watched together. But like
That's why I
this
also said that this was fun for the family, though. That, like, genuinely, this is just the one that it'll hit for everybody for different reasons, you know?
this and or Shaun of the Dead,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
they're like
yeah,
good
yeah, absolutely.
like date horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely,
Which
100%.
funny enough, horror movies are date movies.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And go listen to our Shaun of the Dead episode. Shout out the John Candy.
That's right. So yeah, I think that just about wraps us for us for now. It's time to get these pups back to the kennel. Sideshow, you want to tell them where to find us and what we're watching next?
Oh God, yeah. I'll get what we're watching next out of the way because I don't want to fucking. Man, this was a movie that first saw a couple of years ago, and I just really said to myself, "Wow, that's excellent." I took the message for what it was. Agreed with the not agreed with the content of it, but I agreed with the format of which it was told. I liked like things about it, aspects about it, but I told myself probably never gonna watch this again. And then I started this podcast. And well, god damn it, we're here now, and I'm fucking not looking forward to it. But we're covering Gaspar Noé's Irreversible next week, and I don't blame you if you skip this episode. I would hope you don't, but I don't blame you if you don't even watch the movie because I don't even want to watch this again. I had to. I did watch it again, but I watched the straight cut because I wanted to see the difference and see which one worked better for an episode on the show. And the original one, obviously, is what we're gonna do. But it's rough, man. It's rough. And if you know Irreversible, you know why I'm like I have this fucking shakiness in my voice as I talk about this. It's very upsetting.
It's gonna be really heavy. This is gonna be
Yeah.
definitely not a fun one to watch with my girlfriend.
Fuck no, this is not. Yeah, I don't blame you if
I
she don't watch it. I don't blame
I
you if
wonder
she
if
don't.
I should probably just tell her what it's about and that it's
I
going to be
would.
really bad
I
and be like, if
would.
you don't want to see it, I'll just watch it.
Yeah, because I can't, I don't recommend this movie to literally anybody. I don't ever recommend this to anybody. I know, because anybody who knows about this movie knows exactly why this movie is notorious. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
assault is the main thing in this movie. But there are nuances in the way that it's told and in the performances and stuff, and that's what we're going to get into, and that's why I'm covering it on the show. I will say that I'll defend it now, being like there is art in it, and it's not just disgusting smut. You know what I mean? Which we've talked about on the show. We don't want to cover movies that don't really have a point to them on this show. Like if it's just violence for the sake of violence, that's not
Yeah.
you're not getting anything out of that. It's
And
just
and th- and that's going to be a heavy conversation next week is basically it's going to be an episode where we're going to have to defend
mhm.
showing those sort of things
Yeah.
in movies and
It's very much the mission statement of this show, though. I will say we're very on brand for this. This is because no one was talking about these movies before we were, talking
I'm
about in our circles, and that's why we started the
I'm
podcast.
I'm
So
truly of the belief that anything that happens in real life is totally valid to put into a
into
fictional
film.
story.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of things that don't happen in real life that we put in fictional stories.
Yep.
Very obviously I love anime and manga and
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
and fucking
Yeah.
people don't be going to demon realms and shooting lasers out their hands, but like it doesn't make it less interesting as fiction.
Not in
But
this economy.
when it comes to the horrible things that happen in reality, fiction is how we make sense of things and how
Hmm.
we compartmentalize things and how we move past things. And
Yeah.
so, like, to one person, this movie might be the most horrifying, fucked up thing they've ever seen. And I'm not trying to speak for anyone that I'm not, and I'm not trying to like give a straw man, but there might be another person who's been through that who is like, this
It's
shows how
cathartic.
horrible it is.
Yep.
This
Hmm.
shows how bad it is.
Yeah.
So if someone says, what is that experience like? I can say,
Hmm. Yeah.
go watch this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sit in that and feel bad for having asked me that question.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Because,
why I
you
think
know,
this movie reminded me of why we do the show. Like why I watch movies generally now. It's like I want to feel something, and the entire time I'm watching this movie, I felt sick to my stomach. I felt uneasy and I felt wrong. I felt bad. And I'm just
yeah.
like, fuck. He's the one of the few directors. I think this is going to be our very first Noah film
Hmm.
that we've ever covered on here. So this is
Hmm.
one of the few directors I've ever seen that has moved me dramatically with every single movie I've ever seen from him. There's not a single movie that I've seen that doesn't like shake me to my core for some reason or another. You know what I mean? So yeah, just strap in, man. It's gonna be a rough one, and I think that's why we're lingering on this a lot, just kind of like preparing the audience and ourselves as well, because it's heavy, man. It's a heavy one, but yeah. So with that out of the way, you can find us on Facebook at the Devil's Work Podcast. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at the Devil's Work Pod. And we have an email set up for you guys if you guys want to throw any suggestions our way, comments on any episodes, concerns you may have for our health. The Devil's Work Podcast at gmail.com. And you can find me on Twitch if you're into that sort of thing. I'm playing video games and doing watch alongs and whatnot. Saturdays, generally, right now, as of this recording, trying to stay active on there. It's very difficult. Forgive me, streamers. We also have lives as well. So you can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/sideshow PSY. Spell that shit right. Um, and I think that about does it. We covered everything. That's all the housekeeping. How do you want to end this one?
Well, there was a time where we could have ended it fun, but then we talked about a bunch of really heavy stuff. So let me just say, hold your dogs tight, pet
Yeah.
them right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. Hey, but yeah, I'll back that. Fuck yeah. And Sam is the goodest
If
boy
you,
of all.
eh, and if you want something to look real, ride it hard and put it away wet.
Fuck yeah, that's it. We're done. Bye. Bye everyone.
Bye.